Gibbo presents.
It's Gibbo, and right now I'm joined by singer, songwriter, producer, and Spirulina advocate. It is Chronixx. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, well, we're alive and well, you know. We're happy and we know it. Yes.
You're currently in the middle of the Dread and Terrible European tour. I know it's an off day for you today. Are you travelling as we speak? Have you left Paris after last night's big show with Barrington Levy?
Yeah, man, you know, we're up on the road, you know. I moved towards the next stop, you know. So, you know, we're there, a whole of vibe, you know. And I give thanks, you know, for what has been good. And, you know, it has been a very good and pleasant, dread and terrible tour so far, you know.
Often when you visit the city on tour, you're in and out pretty quickly. It's a business trip, really. You probably don't get to see much apart from the venue and perhaps the restaurants. But you have a couple of Frenchmen who are parts of your team, Pierre and Joe from All Eyes on It. Did either of them take you to any nice spots that only the locals would know about?
Well, I mean, my first time in Paris, I didn't have a show. Really, I had a week in Paris, and they took me everywhere, you know. And I linked up with my father, long-time brethren, Jacob from Guiding Star, you know. And you know, I got to see Paris that time. You know, drove around, went to the Eiffel Tower and everything. So, you know, I mean, we get to see some Paris, man. We see some nice Paris. You know, and like even when I'm in London, like Pierre take me around, you know, as we spend like 2 extra days after the show, you know, I get fit because I have family who live in London and, you know, so they kind of get for just go around and spend a little time with the family and heal up my father, brethren, them, and, you know, because my father have brethren everywhere in the world, so it's like, it's a reconnection wherever we land, you know.
Let's talk #DreadBus. You've chosen bus over train or plane as your method of transport for this tour, but we're not talking any ordinary bus. Your bus comes complete with custom camouflage paintwork, yours, Calissa's and Dre Island's photos on one side, and the words Dread and Terrible in red, gold and green on the other. How did you feel when you first arrived in Europe and saw the Dread bus for the first time?
Well, I mean, it's just a feeling of gratefulness, you know, that I was overcome with because, you know, these things, you know, what is most important is the music, you know, whether you bring it via train, via airplane, boat, whatever, you know. But with this now, you know, you get free really. You can sleep on your way, you know what I mean? And, you know, it's just like an extra comfort, you know? And we really give thanks and praise for it, you know, because it's a great feeling, you know, if you know, say, oh, Jah really bring it from here to there, you know? So, yeah.
Take me behind the curtains, so to speak. Give me a description of life on the Dread bus. If I was to spend a day on there with you, what would I see and experience?
Well, you'd see a bunch of you just talk very loud about music and, you know, listening, you'd hear all different kind of music being played from jazz to classical to hip-hop to reggae, everything. And you would also see a next group of man upstairs playing FIFA, you know, relentlessly and, you know, it's just a great vibe, you know, right through, you know what I mean? Like, and then at one point after everybody, you know, eat and burn up all of that energy, the bus just gets silent. All 17 bunks are filled with, you know, people suffering from niggeritis, you know, just resting, you know, and awaiting the next venue because, you know, the main mission is to go out there and play music and play some good music too. You know, so just one of them things they know where we just know say, yo, on the life on the jet bus, you know, is a great thing because a different level of bonding now, you know. Total different level of bonding, you know, it's like you get to live with your bandsman them for 3 weeks, you know what I mean? Because we don't really stay in a hotel all the times, you know. So it's like we live on the bus, you know. So it's like you get to live on a bus for 3 weeks with people. It's a different level of bonding, you know, and like spend so much time together more time and like there's still so much that you don't know about your very family that you tour and make music with, you know, and then like eventually, you know, a man gets to free up more and there's a lot more to see.
Have you got a onboard studio on the bus?
Well, I mean, Joshua the bass player, him have him like a workstation with him, you know, in digital audio workstation. And myself, you know, I always travel with my interface and my microphone. So, you know, we have Josh making some rhythms and, you know, myself I haven't been able to do any recordings because, you know, I don't want to put too much pressure upon the little, upon the young vocal cords and, you know. But yeah man, we're always equipped with, you know, just in case we need for, you know, 'cause from the music coming and fight it.
Let's talk about the Dread and Terrible project itself. Firstly, why did you decide to use the word project instead of EP or album?
Well, it's because, you know, like while we were working on music, we also was working on like the film aspect of stuff, you know, and also we'd have some artistic direction going on with the artwork and the whole presentation of the thing, you know, it entailed a lot more than just music and like, you know, a lot of times when music is presented, you know, it is just all about the music, but really and truly it is the art that sells the music, you know, it is the visuals that makes the song popular, you know. So like, you know, instead of just make it seem like an album or whatever, you know, I know it's really a project. Because I don't really want it to feel like an album either, because really and truly it started out as an EP, and then we move on to making the Rastaman Wheel Out short film, and then we move on from there for deal with some artwork with Andrew from Malta, and all of them things. So it's like is now more than just a CD with some songs or some songs hanging up on iTunes. You know, is now something where people can really appreciate. Dread and Terrible is like an idea, you know. So that's why we use the word project.
There's 2 previously released tracks, 5 unreleased tracks, and 3 dub versions on the project. What made you decide this was the right formula or mix of material?
Well, I mean, to me, is the title Dread and Terrible, you know, is like is music that sums up the meaning of Dread and Terrible, really and truly, because um we have songs we have songs on the project where, you know, it speak about capture land, you know, and colonialism, and then you have songs that speak about, you know, Alpha and Omega, which, you know, outlines a whole heap of little atrocity and things the Rastafari face over time, you know, from Jamaica government and from the system and a whole, you know. And we have songs like Spirulina, which, you know, is a revolutionary tune, you know, it kind of outline a healthy lifestyle, you know, especially in these times when most people, you know what I mean, use their music sometimes without, they don't even get income from most of these big alcohol beverage companies, you know what I mean? Like when a man sing about Red Bull don't really give him the money and endorsement. But people sing about these harmful things free of cost. You know, so it's like, you know, I did in a situation where, you know, I happen to experience the good benefits of, you know, eating healthy and living, you know, living leading a healthy lifestyle, you know. So like the song Spirulina, you know, is one of them tunes that outline that health, you know, especially in these 21st century where everything fast food, fast everything, you know. and it's just food that kill you. And we have song like Clean Like a Whistle, which is a song that really talk about gratefulness. It's a song that really talk about, the people them who I have around, and it's like, I save it as the last track because it's really like a vote of thanks, really outline the people them who really made the Dread and Turbo project a success, and if you listen clearly, you hear a whole heap of names and things like, it's like a story from where I'm born till where we're there now with Barnes and Zion and Zinc Fence and, Kelly and J Island and the whole of it, and the whole movement, and we have song like Rastaman Wheel Out, which talk about, certain harassment or face with marijuana, and which I hope will, kind of open people's eyes to the fact that it's just a plant and it's just a tree, and the Indians used it. It was used in India for aeons, for millennia, to cure, a part of spiritual rituals. And it were the Indians who Rasta adopted it from, and before Rasta adopted herb as their holy sacrament, it was not an illegal plant in Jamaica. It was after that the British government, and the Jamaica Constabulary under the British government governance, made it illegal. So it's like all of them things, it just outlined the whole thing, and it's Dread and Terrible. So, that's where the title and them thing they come from,
You mentioned other artists giving a shout out to alcoholic beverages or Red Bull in their music and not getting any proceeds from it. Well, could you have missed out on a business opportunity here? This could have been the perfect time to launch Chronixx Juice Bar or an Ital food spot or even your own line of health beverages?
Yeah, well, it would be perfect if you're talking about economics. But if you're talking about the perfect time, it may not be. You know what I mean? As soon as Jah really permit these things and make them possible, then, that's when we will take full advantage because, I'm not really I don't always think capitalistic. I don't know if I'm wrong or I'm right. Time will tell. So, the thing really, there's a person who we really outline in the song Viva, who is a one from he makes juice at the Bob Marley Museum on Hope Road, and him also, so it's like, the song is really about his establishment, really and truly, where all of us as Jamaican artists, from Elephant Man to Buju Banton to Damian Marley, the whole Marley brother, them, he makes juices for them, from Freddie McGregor, everybody, So it's a thing we're already known among artists, but now to the wider society, because most artists, even no one never sing about this and that. Most of them drink healthy things, and eat healthy. A lot of them. Because in Jamaica, is especially as a man, it's natural to drink some good things, So, it's like, but most people don't talk about the good things, like, a man more talk about, the rum and the this and the that, but it's a thing where all of us as Jamaican artists, we really live that way because we know the great toll that the industry takes on us on a physical level. So most artists eat right when they get the chance.
It seems there was only a short gap between the announcement of the project and its actual release. Was this inspired by artists from other genres like Beyonce or the Lux who have gone down the surprise release route recently, or was this just the way things fell into place?
Well, I don't know much about Beyonce and them people, like, really and truly. We are very keen to what is happening in the world and in the world of music, but, it's just a thing where really and truly the project was supposed to be released from last year, and then with us, we were as frantic and as impatient as the fans, so we just say, no, let's get this thing out there, because we've been working on it for how long now, and like, let's just do it and let's just organize a tour right away because it's music, you know. It don't have to be perfect and it don't have to, you know what I mean? It don't have to get the best release ever, you know what I mean? What happened is like we take a short term approach to music these days, you know, where we think about how much it sells on the first day and how well it does, the first couple downloads, the first how many hits it get in the first 48 hours, you know what I mean? Like, what about the next 48 years? You know what I mean? What about the next decade to come? Like, you know, music is a thing we're supposed to grow organically. It's supposed to be a thing where people discover. You know what I mean? The Dread and Terror project should be a thing that people is still discovering 20 years from now and listening to it for the first time. You know? So, like, you know, we just put the project out and, you know, it's a great thing. I feel good about it, you know, and I can't wait to come off of this bus and get back in the studio again and even get out there in the streets and put more promo behind it because, you know, it's like a youth. You know what I mean? Music is like a child and you have to always take care of it, you know, and nurture it.
Based on the overwhelmingly positive response the release has received and your overall popularity as an artist, I'm sure an album from yourself would do exceptionally well. Have you any plans to put one together and release one as of yet?
Yeah, man. Like, you know, like, I don't think it will come this year, you know, since the Dread and Terror project was released just a few days ago. Like, you know, I don't think it will come this year, but it's a thing I would definitely look forward to give, you know? Yeah, man.
Shortly after the release of the project itself, you dropped the video or mini-film for Rastaman Wheel Out. Whose idea was it to do an extended video or mini-film instead of just a regular run-of-the-mill video?
Well, I mean, it was between myself and Raskasa, you know, my team and Raskasa, you know, who is, he is a visionary, you know, and like, it's a thing we've always wanted to do, and like, you know, just took this as the opportunity, you know, and like, we was going to do the video for Alpha and Omega first, and he wrote this big extravagant treatment, and then we played Rastaman Wheel Out, and he was like, no, I want to do this one instead, you know, and like we still plan to do the Alpha and Omega and Spirulina and Clean Like a Whistle. You know, I really will never stop until all of these songs have visuals. You know what I mean? And as we go along in the year, you know, we'll release the other videos for the other songs. You know, but you know, Raskasha, it was a mixture of our idea and his, you know.
Many people have likened it to the classic 70s film Rockers. Presumably this was the inspiration for it?
Yeah, I mean, the real inspiration though was, you know, there's not a lot of films that were released out of Jamaica are good films, you know. Rockers was one of those good ones that really stick with people along with Harder They Come, you know, and all of them things. The inspiration really came from the Jamaican film culture, you know. Like, I mean, like, really and truly, like, we're at a point now in Jamaica where we have to be very appreciative of our culture as it is very valuable worldwide. So it was just to, like, represent that culture and film again, you know what I mean, and like tell the story in within that context, you know what I mean. But it's not like it's directly drawn from, you know, pull many elements from many different places. Yeah, Rockers was one of them for sure.
You say you plan to release videos for more of the singles from the Dread and Terrible project. Could we see more mini-films, or was this just a one-off?
Well, you know, who knows? Let's just documentaries, you know, especially for Spirulina, you know, even if we do a music video, I think the whole thing deserves a more extended, like a thing that is much more than entertainment, like an educational thing. because a lot of people don't really know what spirulina really is, you know, and like the great value, nutritional value that it carries. And a lot of people also don't know the history of it. So it's like a man think it's just a new phenomenon that was just discovered, where it's like an ancient thing, you know, even in Africa, it's a thing where people been using for decades and for eons, centuries, you know what I mean? Like, we really have to try highlight that in some way, you know? So, yeah, people can look forward to a whole heap of these things.
Do you have aspirations to do more acting in the future?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of my first jobs ever, you know? Like, I grew up, my neighbor was a playwright and a filmmaker, Ginger Knight, a very popular Jamaican roots playwright. And he was one of the first persons to introduce me and my siblings to acting, you know? He asked us when I was like, I think 12, to appear in a film that he was working on, a TV series that he was working on called Teenagers. And I think that was my first time I was ever paid to do anything at all, you know, in life. So, you know, that thing we always love, you know, and like, theater is a great thing because especially when it coincides with music and when it is tied to music and art, and, you know, I just love visuals on a whole, you know. And every time I go in front of a camera, in front of a microphone, or, you know, anything that would then project what I do to people, you know, I take that as a very serious opportunity, you know what I mean? And like, I always try and use it to portray a positive, you know, portray a positive idea to the general mass, you know.
Will music always come first, or would you put your musical career on hold to pursue acting?
No, never. Never. I mean, I don't know why acting has to be separate from a music career. Because, I mean, acting is music. You know what I mean? When Jackie Chan fights in our show, it's choreography, and it's just like dancing. Somebody choreographs it, and then you have to watch them and then do it back. So it's music, it's rhythm, it's pattern, you know, like it's music. So I don't know why. I mean, these things, they can't separate these things, you know? You really can't. So, yeah, man. So while I get ready for prepare and leave, you know, because I got to look some food on the road. So just have to make the people them know, say, oh, Chronixx is a musician. You know what I mean? And like, whatever I do will reflect music. Whatever, you know? Don't matter what I do, it will always reflect music. And it will always have music somewhere deep down inside of it, you know?
When you were in New York last year, you did an interview with Cypher Sounds from the world-renowned radio station Hot 97, which can be seen on their YouTube channel. They post a lot of videos up there, but only a handful are from reggae and dancehall artists, and out of that handful, none of the others, which I've seen anyway, have been with an artist whose material is of a similar conscious nature to yours. Taking this into account, were you shocked when they invited you to do the interview?
No, because I never really know exactly what was the nature of it, like really and truly. And I just know it says at 97, you know, one of New York City's premier radio stations. And, you know what I mean? But I never know if it's a reggae program or a hip hop program or a urban program. Or I didn't know the nature of it really and truly, you know. I just went there and like with every other interview or with every other appearance, so go with the mindset to say the right things and do the right things and, you know what I mean, inspire, you know what I mean?
Your rapid rise in popularity and following over the last couple of years has led to you becoming one of the lead artists in many people's minds behind the Reggae Revival, which some believe we are currently experiencing. What are your thoughts on the term Reggae Revival, and are we currently experiencing one?
Well, I mean, it's a thing, you know what I mean? It's more like a phenomenon within the people, them. And I think that just stands as a title, you know, and nothing more, you know? You can't even take a lot of suggestions from the name because really and truly, you know, reggae has always been here. You know what I mean? The reggae will always be here. So when we say revival, no, it was really, it's a thing that is really amongst the people and that the revival is taking place. And not really on a musical level because reggae was always been made, whether it want to be by local people or by foreigners, but you know, and we always say that if Jamaica refuse to make it, then Snoop Dogg will make it. You know what I mean? So like it was and will always be made. You know, it's really within the people, and you know what I mean. And like you can't fight what people think.
So you feel reggae was never in need of revival?
Well, it wasn't in need. The people were in need of a revival, and I think they are really the revival. The people, them, you know.
One of the reasons I was looking forward to interviewing you is that you don't give scripted or safe answers to questions. And when I hear you speak, I feel like I'm getting a glimpse into the mind of Chronixx and the way you really think and feel about things. And I don't always get that impression when I speak to certain people.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, whatever them say, may the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable in thy sight, you know. So that is what we reflect whenever I open my mouth. I just want to make sure it says things that I want me to say, you know, and things that I should be saying, really and truly. So there will always be truth into what we say, always, you know.
I've heard you say previously that you use the money you earn to invest in yourself. Can you go into some more detail about what exactly you spend it on?
A bus, a huge ass bus on tour, and you know what I mean? That big budget video, you know what I mean? Like these things, like, you know, I love these things. These are the things that makes music exciting. So, little luxuries, musical luxuries we want, you know what I mean? Because if I was signed to a big label right now, I would get these things. And since I'm not signed, then the money have to come from somewhere. And if it's out of my pocket, then so be it, you know?
Do you ever treat yourself to anything non-career or music related, or to you would that not be a treat?
What you mean? Treat myself to what?
Do you ever say, okay, this little bit of money here, I'm not going to invest that back into my career. I'm going to treat myself to, I don't know, maybe a new television or a computer, or to you, are material items not a treat?
I buy computers to put in my studio. You know, and I buy music equipment. You know, we get stuff. You know, we get a whole heap of little things, man. You know what I mean? But most of it is music related since we are musicians. You know what I mean? So we're not going to Guitar Center and we're not going to some place. You know what I mean? And everything is an investment. Even the luxuries, even the little things where you treat yourself to. You know, it's an investment. It could be an investment towards the sanity, an investment towards the musical career, an investment towards, you know what I mean, your personal life. Everything is an investment. You know, because everything that I buy should ultimately, or everything that I get, wherever I get it from, should ultimately make me into a better person. You know what I mean? So, that's the long and short of it.
Chronixx, thanks a lot for your time and safe travels.
Shane, give thanks and praise. That's that.
Gibbo.